Hi, everybody, and I hope y'all are having a wonderful Tuesday. And here is Dr. Gail, Skywalking with Moon, and this is a live psychic profile. So you can ask some questions, but the big questions are the 20 I'm going to ask. So you ready for the hot seat, Dr. Gail?
Are we going to jump right into the hot seat, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay. When did you first realize that you had psychic abilities?
Oh, okay. I'm going to say I've had psychic abilities all my life, but I was in denial of it. And my family and friends were in denial and laughed at me whenever I would say something. But it would be that I could not deny it anymore as of July 2020 when we went in with COVID. That's when I had I was already connected to my dad, talking to him, and he was on the other side. But I had an angel show up in my face trying to present me with a bracelet. And that's when I knew I could not deny what was going on.
That'll do it.
I thought for sure I had a brain tumor. I kept going to my friend Meg going, I know I have a brain tumor. I need an MRI. And of course, that's my medical background. You know, I'm a nurse and a chiropractor. So that's where I go.
What did your angel look like?
She was absolutely beautiful. She was white and she had blonde Dolly Parton hair. And she had, of course, she had the angel wings. She had that flowing white clothing. But the biggest thing about her is her bright light around her was blinding.
Yeah, that's the one I've really seen. She came through on the night that my friend died in Vietnam, and she told me he had asked for her to please come and tell me that he'd already crossed over and he was fine. And she was standing in my dorm room with this big white pillar candle in her hand, and she said, he's in the light of this candle, he's safe. And I said, when did this happen? And she said, it happened 2 hours ago in your time. And so no one knew in my hometown. This was on a Friday night. No one knew in my hometown till the Tuesday, and I didn't tell anyone. I told my roommate. Actually, I'd tell the girls in the room next door because they heard this kaboo sound. They was like, what were you banging on? And I said, I had an angel come visit me. But she was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It's the only one I've ever seen.
Yeah, she was gorgeous. And she actually, at that time, my dad was protecting me because I could see all my family members sitting in the background, but he would not let them approach me. And she went flying around here in front of me and tried to present me with a bracelet. Well, I was in meditation at that time, and I went flying off the couch thinking, what did just happen? And I had only been meditating. I started meditating in March, and this happened to me in July. So that's how quickly everything started snowballing for me. Was from March. I was going, let me try this meditation stuff. We're going on COVID. It's the first time I'm taking care of anybody. I'd already retired from nursing and chiropractic. I'd taken care of my dad for 8 years with dementia, and he had passed away in October. And I was like, it's just me. I'm not taking care of anybody. So I started making a list of things that I wanted to do. And when we went on COVID, it was a perfect opportunity for me to focus on me. And meditation was one of the things that I started doing, and that opened me up. And I started off with just these little 10-minute, 15-minute meditations. So it wasn't anything big, but as I said, I was already I was already doing mediumship, not knowing even what that was called. And when the angel did present herself to me and try to hand me a bracelet, I only knew one person that was in the metaphysical world, and her name's Meg. And I sheepishly went running to her and telling her what had happened. And of course, the next statement was, Meg, I think I have a brain tumor. I need an MRI. And she kept saying, I know you, you're okay. And that's a spiritual awakening that you're going through. I didn't even know what a spiritual awakening was. When I was leaving her, I was Googling it on the way out, a spiritual awakening. I had no idea what that was at that time.
Yeah. And for those of you who are just really waking up and can no longer deny it, we're here to tell. That's part of what Psychic profiles is Dr. Gail woke up then. There's some who've been awakened from the time they were quite young. There's some who are waking up now, and I talk to them. I get a lot of readings from people said, "This is going on. What do I do with it?" Well, this is my answer to what you can do with it. So that was question 1. You only have 19 to go, Dr. Gail.
Okay.
You kind of answered it a bit. Was there a single aha moment when you realized I'm here and I'm kind of stuck with this?
Yeah, I think I did answer. It was the angel when she, and then everything started snowballing after that.
But you said you had experiences as a child or kind of glimmerings. I call them glimmerings that we know what's coming. How did you deal with that as a kid?
Well, first off, I thought everybody was having those kind of experiences. I was thinking it was normal, but then, as you get older, you start talking about it, you're shut down because I knew when people would pass, I could smell them. That was my first thing I could do was smell people who would pass. And I knew when, like, my uncle passed, I knew when my mother passed, I could smell when they were around me. And so but I didn't talk about it because, I had kind of been shut down with that was not normal. So, and also I would walk in houses and know there was a ghost there. I would say, be careful, don't go in that room. That's not a very nice ghost. I don't know what's going to happen to you. And in those houses, because I had rental property, and in those houses, I'd always take my dog in with me just for those reasons until that ghost got used to me and we started getting to know each other. That's how that part I was not talking about at all. I knew it was going on, but it was the fear of, which we all go through, the fear of, I've been raised with people who are telling me that's not happening to you, that does not happen, or, that just sounds crazy. And my sister to this day does not remember any of these things I told her, not even as an adult. When we'd go into houses, she blocked it out. She does not remember going into houses and me saying, there's a ghost in here, don't go in that room, or there's a ghost in the front room here, don't, or this was a nice ghost. She doesn't remember any of that. She doesn't remember me talking about the wolf living under my bed. She remembers nothing.
Well, that's because their frequency is different than ours. And that's why when we talk about fairies and dragons and get into the elementals, your frequency's got to be up there. So they may be dashing all around you and somebody sitting in the same room is going, what? There's nothing here.
Well, that I can understand. But the fact that she doesn't even remember me talking about it, that's what really shocks me. She does not remember any of that.
Their frequency goes beyond that. My older brother, when I had run into a ghost in England and I was telling his roommate in law school about it, the guy looked at David and he goes, do you believe this? And he said, she's been strange her whole life. We don't question it anymore. So my family could hear it, but they didn't traffic in it.
Right.
And okay, did you notice unusual? No, we did that one. How did people around you react when you shared your experiences? When you shared the ones as you grew up, were they supportive, skeptical?
Oh no, well, it was dismissed. Like that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it was when I was growing up, and I didn't really start having acceptance of it until, as I said, July of 2020, when I went and talked to Meg, and she guided me through everything that was happening to me. Because after the angel, I started meeting the aliens, the extraterrestrials. It was one after another that I kept meeting after that. So she helped me through all of that, going, I know you're okay. And this is what you saw. This is the kind of ET you saw. This is what they are. She guided me through all that. If it wasn't for her, I would probably be on medication right now. What I was experiencing. But for some reason, she was put in my life. We've been friends for about 20 years now, and we had been work buddies for 15 years before this started happening to me. So she already knew me well. So she knew. She just get all the time, you're okay. And it took me 3 months to finally accept what was happening to me, because I finally said, if this is a brain tumor and I'm going to die, this is the way I want to go.
Right. These are the visions I want.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking now. We're going to go into, you've kind of led into it. did you seek training, or was she sort of there and the universe presented you with the training you needed?
The universe has always presented me with the training I needed, and I don't never know that I'm being trained. I've only officially taken one course, and which was a mediumship course. What happens to me whenever I start to take a course, I have one of my guides usually that shows up and says, "This is how you do it. However, I'm being taught is not how I do it." And they opened me up to how my way of doing it. I mean, the way, I do healing and things like that. I don't know anybody who does it the way I do it. And I mean, just on and on, and doing the color therapy, developing my own way of doing color therapy. Those things I have not had anybody teach me. I just have had to trust my guides that they knew what they're talking about, and they open me up to something new all the time. Now, I've had you supporting me through all this also. When I've gotten Meg describing how you've also supported me on my journey, also telling me, even though this is not in your forte, dealing with aliens and the extraterrestrials, you've always gone, you've always supported me on my journey.
Well, I support Dr. Gail because she's actually reached out and used her skills to change people. I watched it happen. I mean, I verified what she was saying she could do. There are a lot of readers who tell you they can do this and that, but she's the real deal when it comes to, she helped straighten out, well, he sort of straightened out. He's still alive. He's a dear man, but he's messed up beyond belief. And then she did go in and help a friend of mine when he was put in the hospital to die of cancer he developed in the military. And the next day he called me and he said, "Why were you in my hospital room? How'd you get over to where I live? Because that's a long plane flight." And I said, "Honey, I wasn't there." And Dr. Gail had already told me what she'd done to try and help him, because the doctors were amazed. He woke up the next day and his blood count was already massively improving, and he was back home in 4 days. And so he always asked me, "Where's your friend?" Were there specific tools that you picked up early in your practice?
Yeah, tools. You mean like tarot cards, those kind of things? Which
Mhm.
Okay. Well, first I started off with tarot and also writing. I'm a scribbler. I was a scribbler. I
Mhm.
started writing it. Now, I needed things to get my brain out of the way, like my logical brain. I needed to shift it over to allow my guides and everybody to send the information that I needed. So writing for me was a good way, because just the functioning of my hand moved my brain over to allow things to come in. And using cards allowed that too. And also seeing words on a card will trigger you that's what they're saying. I moved from that. Occasionally I use cards, and occasionally I still do scribble. But I moved from that to using a pendulum, because I was getting the information and understanding the information without having to have any tools. Now, I use a pendulum to verify what I am getting ready to say or tell somebody, to verify my information. And also, it leads me, if what I'm thinking, if I'm going in the right direction. That's how I use a pendulum now. Now, I'm trying to move towards my gut. I'm trying
Mhm.
towards my gut, because I know that's my strength, is the gut feeling. And I'm trying to move towards that now. I'm trying to feel what my gut says. And that I'm moving in that direction now.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are getting more. You've got to stand on your own. We've given you all the things we can give you. You got to speak your own truth. Uh, you've mentioned Meg and you've mentioned me very kindly. Thank you, as mentors and teachers. But what is kind of some of the best advice you've gathered when you've been wandering around in our community?
Best advice, I think, protection. I think that's the biggest advice I've gotten, is to be sure grounding and protection are probably my best advice that I've had. That because of what I do, I'm pretty much out there, and I'm helping people through, these negative entities, implants. I really needed, and I learned at a very early time in my journey how something can come and attack you. And so that was very helpful to learn how to do that. And anyway, I would say that would be it.
Okay. And how did you learn to tell the difference between psychic impressions and your imagination? Other than glowing angels show up and Jesus talks to you on park benches, other than those little incidents.
Yes, and Jesus talks to me a lot. I usually skip over to who is talking to me and just say guides, but yes. But what was the question again?
How do you tell the difference between your psychic, what's in psychic impression, and what's your imagination?
Well, it takes a lot of development, I would say, but I would say there's different levels. For me, there's different levels of knowing mediumship when the people who've passed come through. They're a different vibration.
Mm-hmm.
The angels, they're kind of on a different level. They're a higher vibrational level, and that feels different to me. And then it comes to the extraterrestrials or the aliens, and they feel different to me. When it comes to my imagination, I don't know that it has much of a vibration to it like those levels. So that's kind of how I distinguish between it.
Okay. And then what are the moments that you've really doubted yourself, other than when you were going to go find a brain surgeon to scan your skull?
I was going to say that was a lot of doubting in the beginning. And, even when I started accepting the mediumship part, that people who had passed were coming to me, and I was being bombarded with that. And there was a lot of self doubt when you're starting doing those kind of things. When somebody's father, you're sitting there talking to a friend, and their father shows up, and you're just like, "Okay, is this real? Is this really happened?" And then you start talking to them and saying, "This is what I see." I would say, I because I'm an introvert, I think I do a lot of going before I even do a show, asking my guides to help me. Please show up. Please show up. Be there to help me. I don't know if I can do this by myself. And so, but I do think that's the introvert in me.
Mm-hmm.
They have never failed me, but I do always have that pause before I do any show, before I do any reading, that I'm asking them to support me, to be there. And I don't know that a lot of people do that, but I'm always a little hesitant.
Well,
So you can go ahead.
No, when I used to read at table, and I read every week Tuesday nights for 7 years until COVID came. I read at the table at the wine bar, and I'd lay all my stuff out, and I'd have the crystals out, and I have all the things, and I knew what I was going to do. I always had it flash through my mind. What if it doesn't work today?
Mm-hmm.
What if whatever this is now gone? And finally, they showed up with their army boots on and said, quit doing that. Quit doubting yourself, because you can't grow. You have to get past some of those doubts. Just put it out there and see what happens. And sometimes I'd say things to people. I'd be looking at these perfectly lovely people, and I'd be going, this and this and this is happening in your garage. And they're going, yes. And I'm like, how the hell do I know that? I mean,
it does surprise you when you come up with that information and it's correct and somebody validates it. It's a little shocking, but my guys haven't said that to me. They just all show up, and they show up in like an army, because I have so many of them that we're here to support you.
I only have two that I work with regularly, Addie and Frank. Of course, Frank, I understand from those who have seen him, he's my guardian. And one medium said, oh, I'd love to see your guides. And so Frank went over to visit her, and she said, call him back. And she told me it was the biggest sense of energy she'd ever felt in her life. That's what's kept me alive to this age, guys.
Frank has never stopped me, thank goodness.
No, he doesn't stop. He wouldn't stop anybody that doesn't want to hurt me. And he doesn't do it in grandiose ways that people go, oh my God, I had this big fist put in my face. They just don't get through. But I have to be grateful for them, and I have to acknowledge them and be part of who they are. Okay. How do you handle skepticism? And Dr. Gail, you have got to have the biggest tolerance for eye rolling of any human I know. First time somebody told me what Dr. Gail did, I went, really? And then, like I said, she helped a friend of mine. And from then on, she tells me it's there, it's there. And I mean, I've had more than enough proof, but I mean, I got to admit that.
Yeah, people don't know what I am probably is. I am a psychic medium that specializes in alien contact. And so I do all these other things because I'm a medical intuitive. But that's my biggest job right now is to help people going through these alien contacts. And so that's what I do. So Nancy Jean doesn't deal with them. So she really had trouble.
I called Dr. Gail and I said, I lost 3 hours last night. I went to the bathroom, looked at my watch on the way to the bathroom, and then when I sat down, when I came back, I'd been gone for 3 hours. And I said, I think I was with your friends because I do not want to remember being with them. I don't look cute in those spacesuits, guys. And Dr. Gail came back to me later with an answer about where I'd gone. But to me, I travel, but what happens is I'm clairsentient. I just know what's happened. I don't have to go through all the other things. I think the people that Dr. Gail works with and feels with are very, very good and very, very credible. And
Sorry.
And now the fairies are coming in.
Yes.
So I don't know. The best thing for Dr. Gail is because of what she talks about. You'll hear a lot of psychics talk about the extraterrestrial, the galactic families and stuff. She really knows where they are. She's been there. That's what she does. So
Yeah, and you're right about the eye rolling. In the metaphysical world, there's a lot of eye rolling on what I do. And I do think it's because it is different and self-taught. I mean, it's not like self-taught, it's just the information that's coming to me. And you're right, I do have a lot of tolerance on skepticism on what might be said about me, but I'm so grounded and so sure of what I'm doing and all the help that I have, and the information is coming through me. It's not me giving the information, it's the information coming through me, that all the skepticisms and the things that I've been told. I mean, I think when I went on Jeff Maher's show was probably the time that I had the most comments about, oh, she's crazy and all this kind of stuff. And I laughed at it. My friends were upset with the things that were coming in, but I was laughing at it because, 5 years ago, I wouldn't be saying that about anybody, but I do understand where they're coming from because I was not in this world 5 years ago. So I'm more familiar with the other side before, doing what I'm doing versus afterwards.
well, and I've been doing what I was doing since I was a kid, and it was not safe in the late 1950s to say people, oh, these cards say this for you. But then they'd come back because it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have your abilities gone through weak and strong phases?
I would say because my journey has been so fast, I go more through plateaus, and then I do any going downhill. I go skyrocket up, plateau for a little bit, and then go up again. So I really haven't had any ups and downs. It's just more plateaus.
Mm-hmm.
Plateaus hit. It's like a lot of people here. You're going. Your guides step back a little bit for you to integrate with whatever the information you've had or what you're needing to do, and then they'll step back up when it's all done and ready to, do some more work.
Yeah, I think it's like any skill that you learn. You practice it, and then you get to a point where you get competent with doing those things, and then you move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you protect your energy? You and I've talked a lot about that because that's a big thing for me.
Mine keeps going. I keep adding on. It seems like, but I start off with a bubble with Archangel Michael coming and putting a bubble around me, and then I put the violet flame inside that bubble. I'll call and which one is it that brings in the violet flame? This slipped my mind. Anyway,
Archangel Zadkiel and his crew are the ones who run the bar.
Gail, it's anyway, somebody would remind me because it just slipped my mind. But then after I do that, I call in, and I learned this from a guy who does a lot of negative entity work. I call in the Lords of Light to make sure every morning that I have not been implanted, that I don't have any parasites or anything that's been implanted over me night, for them to examine me. I go through that, and then it's Saint Germain. Thanks, Millie. Saint Germain, want the violet flame, and then I call in Metatron. BJ, I call him Metatron. Is my last person I call in, and I have him try to look at my light to make sure it's bright and it's okay. So I have a lot of different steps that have been added on. First, I started with just a bubble. And the reason I chose a bubble was because whenever I started going on spaceships early in my time, they put me in a bubble for protection and would send me into the spaceships and not let all the different extraterrestrials bother their energy and vibration affect me. So I have every morning I open up my chakras, and then I do my protection. And as I said, those steps that I go through, and then I go into meditation. That's how I do it.
Yeah, well, I find it hard enough to put up with humanity and how we kind of screw with things. I can't imagine having all the other vibrations from the other planets coming in. Brave lady. Okay. Do you think that psychic abilities are innate in everyone, or can they develop them? If they're not feeling them real strongly, are there things they can do to develop them?
They can develop them. I think everybody has it. It's just you have to let go of your fear. You have to let go of your past teachings. A lot of it's religious, and your parents. You have to kind of let go of all that before you can really embrace it, I think. And if that's what you want to do.
Right. And if you have a gift, and I have some gifts that I have been told I have, that I said, I don't think I want that. And I was told early on, you don't have to accept any gift you don't want. So if talking to dead people is not something you want to do.
I say I'm fine with talking to dead people. The only line I have drawn on this journey is channeling. When I don't want to be a trance channeler, I never want them to jump in my body and speak. And I don't want my voice changing. I don't want anything changing like that. We made a deal that they could sit in my lap and whisper in my ear. But that was my line. That's the only thing I have been uncomfortable with, that I did not want that to happen. So everything else has been okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be channeled. I have so many things I don't want to be. It's just the list is endless. I can't imagine how this would happen, but has your work changed your worldwide view?
Oh, yes, that's definitely. It's amazing how things have changed, and also where humanity's place in this galaxy. That's a big ordeal, or big hurdle to go through to recognize that. And I've in 5 years, there's a lot I have learned, or there's a lot they have opened up that I already knew. I should say that I already knew this information, but they have opened it up and have just, I can't even say slowly given it to me, because I have been rushed through all this to open up.
Good. Okay. And tell me about one of your most powerful readings or experiences, because Dr. Gail doesn't necessarily read things. She goes out, she's an experiential person. She's flying the spaceships and working with the souls that need to be put in bodies that are in better shape than the one they met her up with. But what are your most powerful reading that you've done?
I would say when and there's probably more than one, whenever you're taking out an implant and it's successful, it's like a transformation of that person. They go to a next vibrational level. You can almost see the change in them before your eyes. That probably, whenever those things happen, those are probably my most profound experiences, watching that transformation in front of your eyes. And I've had a lot of readings too, when people explain to people what happened to them when they've experienced an alien or extraterrestrial that has been, also some great experiences. But I would say removing implants were probably the biggest transformation.
Can you explain implants to people? Because there's a lot of people throwing that word around right now. And this is off the 20 questions. There are a lot of people throwing that statement around, and I think they just found it's a word people latch onto.
Yeah. Well, I will start off with basically we have two forces out there, and I'm going to call it the Palladians and the reptilians. And this is just simplifying it. The Palladians want us to send to raise our vibration to 5D, and they want us to take a place in take a seat in the galactic journey and the table with everybody else, with the Galactic Federation.
Mm-hmm.
The reptilians, and this isn't all. This is just simplifying it. Want us to stay here on Earth and do wars and fight and have negative energy because they feed off of that energy. So they want to keep us down. Mm-hmm. So there's a bright light, say somebody here who's all of a sudden getting ready to move up to the next level, and they see this light shining out there, they're going to come try to stop it. The reptilians are going to try to stop it. And so they might take you and put an implant in you. And that's a negative implant. Now, the Palladians might put a positive implant in you so they can send information directly to you. Now, the implants can look like all sorts of things. The very first one I removed looked like a piece of tape that was silver and one edge was black, but they have looked different. They look different. All of them look different. And they're placed, the most common place is your pineal gland and your solar plexus, but they can be anywhere in your body. So you have those two things, and they're wanting, and that's the reason why the implants. And so a person who is having trouble with anger issues, who's who's fighting, who's mad, who is depressed, who might even have suicidal thoughts, you're going to look at them and go, they have a negative implant, because the reptilians are really feeding off that kind of energy. They're loving it. They're just cranking that implant and just stirring it up, making them more angry and more mad. Now, so that's what I removed. The positive implants I do not remove, because that is direct information from your star family, not necessarily the Palladians. I'm just using that as an example. And also I'm using, because there are some good reptilians, but the negative ones need to be removed. So when that's removed, that's when you can see the change in the person, because their vibration increases, and all of a sudden it's almost like this darkness, this film has been lifted off of them.
Right. When, not telling tales out of school, but when Dr. Gail worked with my friend, she tried twice and he always avoided the appointments. And these are not like in-person appointments, they're like distance. And so finally, the third time, she called me up early in the morning. She said, you can call him today and see how he's doing. And the first thing he told me when he woke up that morning was, all of a sudden his house was so much brighter. And he lived in a bright house, but he said, I thought I hadn't closed the curtains and da-da-da-da. And he had a hard time walking outside in the sunlight. I mean, he said, this is crazy. And I said, well, she worked on you last night and it's gone, but you have to keep creating positive vibrations. And this is why Dr. Gail's like a surgeon. And then she sends you to shamanistic people or psychic people afterwards. This is my impression, because I only worked with the one person, that she sends you to them to help you stay on track. Because if you've lived your whole life since the age of like 10 or 11 in a dark cloud, that's where you're going to feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to try to go back there.
Yeah, Linda, I'm just using reptilians as an example. There's some very good reptilians. I would say it would be more the Dracos, a part of the reptilians that is actually the ones that would do more than negative. But some of the reptilians do too. But I'm just using those as examples. There's good and bad in all groups, just like in humans.
Yeah, there's light and dark in every one of us. And even those of us who seem like we're all together light workers, trust me, there's a dark part of me, and I work on it. It's called a shadow work, and it's called shadow work because it's dark, and it's well worth doing if you want to know about anything about that.
And
Okay.
that's also about the implants, just getting somebody just to remove them and not doing the work afterwards. Because whenever I'm usually when I started off removing implants, I would go at night when the person was asleep and take their astral body with me to the spaceship. And that's when I was doing my work. But I would also balance their chakras, balance their energy, balance their chemistry. We would do light work. There was so much more, and we would open up the chakras and clean them out. There was so much more work than just removing that implant that we were doing. And if you aren't willing to do the work of raising your own vibration by doing positive affirmations or doing your grateful list, things like that, that support that removal and keeping your vibration up, that implant will just come right back, or that negative entity or whatever it is that's keeping you that way. So it's not as easy as saying, oh, well, let's remove the implant. You've got a lot of work to do after that to keep it away. As soon as you reach a certain level, then you're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how do you, now you talk about a lot of different things, but how do you deliver sensitive or complex messages?
I try to put it in a positive light, or say it in a way that, oh, giving an answer, giving a way of what they can do if it's negative information. Um, Coming up with a solution versus just here's the information, boom, a bomb, and just let it sit there. I always give some kind of resolution or something that can help. They can turn it around, or change it, or help, or if they got to go through it, the things that they can do to go through with it.
Yeah, and that they're not alone. I think that's the thing you offer them most, is that you're not alone. This happened to lots of people.
Right.
And okay, this is the inspirational part of the lecture. What advice do you give someone who's starting to deal with their gifts? And I know you get a lot of people who've been touched by, I need to know about galactic families and stuff.
Right.
But how do you tell them how to work with that?
Well, for me, and I tell them to connect with somebody that's safe on the other side. Like for me, it was my dad, and that's mediumship. He allowed me to be okay with whatever else. He told me this was good, this was bad. He was the one that protected me while I was doing that journey of meeting all the different aliens and extraterrestrials. That he helped me with that. It was a safe place for me. And I would also say that when you're doing that kind of work, you're staying up there in the crown chakra and your third eye chakra, and you are really needing to ground, because when you're going up there all the time, eventually you don't want to come back. A lot of times you don't want to come back. So you're really needing to ground to earth, because it's just as important to be connected to earth so you can bring the information down here that you're receiving.
Okay. And any daily habits or exercises that you recommend to people to
Yeah.
try?
Yeah, well, I would say, like, what my ritual is I would say everybody write a grateful list, everything that you're grateful for in the mornings or in the evenings before you go to bed, and not just say it. So, uh, whenever I was removing implants, it was immediate to go, oh, I'm grateful for everything. I'm always grateful. And then you say, okay, I want you to get out a pencil and paper and write it down. They struggle with that exercise, and these are
Mm-hmm.
people with negative implants and who are really negative. They really struggle with that exercise, and struggle with what is positive in my life. What's going to, and so I go, do you have a house? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have a car? Do you have transportation? And I start with those simple things. So those are those simple things that we take for granted, but there are things that you can list that you're grateful for. And usually when you start with that will turn people around. So I think that's real important, to be thankful and grateful for things. Also, protection. As I said, I protect myself every morning, and also meditation. Those are the three things I would talk about, recommend.
Okay. And then how can someone find a trustworthy psychic in our community to be a mentor or a person for them? What would be, I know what happens with me is I just feel like I can trust them from what I see off the screen. But how do you kind of direct people if they ask you about that?
Um, I would say, well, watch what they do. I mean, we have the advantage to watch people's readings of things on YouTube,
Hmm.
and somebody you connect with, because everybody's different. Whatever you can connect to, like you're really connect with readers, card readers, which I did in the beginning, and I probably connect more with whoever's talking about aliens and extraterrestrials and
Hmm.
in that area. So it's going to be different from everybody, and it's going to be. I would. Okay, and here is another thing that people don't realize also is that whenever you start working with somebody, a psychic or whatever, you might outgrow them within a few months and need to find somebody else. This person might not be able to take you on your full journey forever. I've gone through I don't know how many um, people who would help me in the beginning, and then I would outgrow them, and then it'd be time to look for another one. So I would say whenever you're looking for somebody to help, don't always think this is the one that's going to help you for the rest of your life, because you might outgrow them very quickly.
That's true. I've had a lot of them, and they show up. I'll tell you the other thing is they'll show up at the time you need to hear that. Then
Right.
it's up to you. Did you open your ears and did you listen?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the biggest lesson you've learned on your psychic journey?
Probably the most memorable thing that I learned was my first attack was from a Draco that came to attack me, is that I stayed calm. And
Hmm.
that I did seek out help after that when that Draco showed up. And whenever the person that was helping me through it gave me lots of things to do, and then it turned out that I figured it out my own way of how to do it, which was an easier way to do it. And there was always help for me to get rid of it. In fact, my very first one, that's when I first was working with Jesus, and he showed up with that Draco and turned it into a big red rose and took it off. And so I think that was my biggest awareness or about negative things being out there and how easily they are to get rid of.
Okay. Well, okay,
And that
guys.
when
Mhm.
there were that other thing would be we're stronger than any negative entity out there.
Yes.
I think that's a big thing that people need to remember too. Whatever you face, you are stronger than that. It might scare the crap out of you, but you're stronger than that.
Focus on the positive. Focus on the light coming down. I found this graphic. This is galactic grounding. This is pulling the energy into the universe, pulling it through your body, and then letting that energy go down into the earth. And it's kind of with what Dr. Gail does, that's sort of where we all need to be right now. True?
True.
True. And I appreciate you being here. We had a couple of interesting questions, if you don't mind taking them.
Okay.
And I miss,
Now you got to find them.
yeah.
Did you star them? You didn't.
Okay.
You didn't star them.
This one's good. Okay. Did the Draco reptilian seed or put dinosaurs here? Are our frogs and our lizards all part of their planet? Somebody told her that.
Well, that's kind of okay. Yeah, the reptilians and the Dracos, the reptilians, they all developed from our dinosaurs, and they think, and which is rightfully their thought process is they were here before humans, so they think they own Earth and they have the rights to keep us down in 3D where they want us to use our energy. So you can see where they're coming from, why they want us to stay like we are. Now, the frogs and the lizards, are they part of the reptilian? Um, and I'm getting it, yeah, a little bit, but not really. I'm getting it that it's kind of a different whole area on the
Yeah,
frog.
it's a different thing
Yeah.
that came from. Okay. And we had a couple of Congratulations to Rose Blue. Apparently, somebody did some genetic research and found out she was adopted, and she didn't know that. And
Oh,
she's now has a chance to go meet her real birth family, her genetic birth family.
yay. That's got to be scary and exciting.
That's new. That's finding your whole family of origin in a totally different way than Dr. Gail and I do it.
Yeah. You're welcome, Linda.
And also, if y'all please keep coming back to see who the further adventures of Nancy's psychic profiles are. Like and subscribe, please. And if you're from one of the other groups, I know some of the people I've interviewed, their people have come over to see what else we're up to, because we don't do big scary things. We do things that try to help you grow and try to help your frequency and your vibrations grow. And that's what Dr. Gail does too with her work. She does a lot of color work, and color work works whether you're in a spaceship or you're here.
Yeah. I would also like to let people know that are new that my channel is developed for people who are having contact, who are having alien or extraterrestrial contact. And you're questioning, did this happen? You've all had everybody telling you you're crazy or whatever. It's a safe place for us to get together and talk about it. I have great moderators who help. And also, you can't go to your family members if they're not experiencing, or if your friends are not experiencing the same things you are, they don't understand it. But my channel, we all understand it. Well, I wouldn't say all. Some are trying to learn how to understand it, but we understand it. We're looking at those dreams and things that you've had in the past, and you're questioning, were they real? And my channel is a place where we can talk about it.
And this is a good description. Sharon, you did a wonderful description. Dr. Gail is a psychic medium specializing in alien encounters, ET experiencers, challengers, starseed healers. She also has training as a chiropractic doctor and intuitive medicine, medical intuitive. So that's Dr. Gail.
And I'm a nurse also.
And she was a nurse. So she wasn't just intuitive. She read the books. So anyway, I want to thank everyone who showed up today. And next week, I think I'm going to be doing a show on the elementals, just because Hogarth, my tree, has changed so much in the last few months, and there's so much going on in the elemental world that's part of it. And in between then, you will get, if you subscribe to my channel, you will get the notification that we're doing psychic profiles, and it has the same little thing. And eventually it will be a playlist, and it will be a podcast. And I hope everyone's enjoying it. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying interviewing my friends. And also, if you want to, you can get a hold of me at crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com. And if you have a reader that you would particularly like to see me talk to, there may be someone that doesn't instantly spring to mind for me. And that's just because I would never grow my own channel if I spent my time watching every other reader. But, or if you want to put your own name in the mix, I've had several people contact me saying, I'm new, I'm out here, I'm looking at their stuff. It requires an interview with me first, but I'd be glad to bring in some new folks. And with that, thank you so much, Dr. Gail, for getting off your spaceship and showing up today.
All right. Well, thank you, Nancy Jean.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.